Namaste, my friends. My name is Daryl, and welcome to Safe Living. In this episode, we're going to be covering a Paver ramp installation that I did going up to the front door of my steps here. So let's get going. In this video, we're going to cover why we put in a ramp, current walkway layout, the ADA ramp standards. We're going to give you a link to that as well. The slope requirements for ADA, how to calculate the recommended ramp length, what are some of the ramp options. We'll share some of the photos of the ramp installation. We'll discuss the slope, the grade of the new ramp. We'll talk about the door threshold height, which there is an ADA standard for commercial. Then things to consider when installing a ramp, and then we'll go over the total cost of this ramp. So let's talk about why put in a ramp to begin with. So number one is convenience. Ramps can be more convenient for people who are pushing strollers or pulling luggage, carrying heavy items. This can be especially helpful for parents with young children or for travelers. My UPS guy loves it. Second reason is safety. Ramps can also be safer than stairs for people of all ages. They can help reduce the risk of tripping and falling, especially in wet or icy conditions. The third is aging population. As the population ages, more people may experience mobility issues, making ramps a more useful and accessible option for individuals who may have difficulty navigating stairs. 4 is inclusivity. By providing accessible entryways for people with disabilities, ramps promote inclusivity and can help create a more welcoming and diverse community for people of all ages and abilities. Number 5, emergency situations. Ramps can also be useful in emergency situations, allowing people to quickly and safely exit buildings and structures. So let's take a look at the current walkway layout that we have. The door step in my house is 6 inches off the ground from the sidewalk, as you can see. And then on top of that, I do have a threshold, which is really it goes from a ½ inch, I think, up to about 7/8 of an inch. I also have a drain pipe on my sidewalk, which creates some flooding issues during heavy rains. And I also have that landscaping border, which is a tripping hazard when you're leaving the house. I currently have no handrails on my home, and we're going to do another video on that later on, but also looking at the stonework here, there are different contours and lengths, and how are we going to be able to attach to that? The other thing we have is if we look at the river stone here, my door is in direct line with this river stone. So this river stone is going to have to get pulled out regardless, just to be able to put the ramp straight coming out. These are the current dimensions, 55 inches wide at the door. From the door going to the corner of my house is about 8 feet. The sidewalk leading up to the little platform at my front door is 36 inches wide with a 90-degree bend going to the driveway. And my door is 36 inches wide. If you take a picture of this QR code, it's going to take you to the ADA standards, which is the American Disabilities Act. These standards were really created for commercial, federal buildings, things like that, where they're taking in consideration a lot of different types of people of all ages and all sizes. It's currently not required at all in residential. Still check your local building and construction codes just to make sure. But what we're going to be covering with this area is section 405, which really relates to ramps. First thing that we want to talk about is the slope of the ramp, or the grade. And ADA has a standard out there. It's section 405.2. And what they're saying is the ramp shall have a running slope not steeper than a ratio of 1/12. So what does that mean? So for every 12 inches of horizontal distance, so that's from B to C, or every 12 inches, you can only rise 1 inches here in vertical height. So from B to C, which is the brown line, You can go, let's say that's 12, and then the yellow from C to Q can't rise more than 1 inch vertically. So the slope of the ramp should not be steeper than an 8.33% grade. So that's great, but what does all that mean? If your vertical rise from C to Q is 1 inch, and your horizontal distance between B and C is 12 inches, what we're doing is dividing 1 by 12, multiplying it by 100, and you're going to get 8.33%, and that's your grade or your slope, your percent slope. So let's give you an example. This is my driveway, and my driveway, this vertical rise right here where my arrow is pointing, is at 5.375 inches, or 5 3/8. And what we do, that's the vertical rise. Then the horizontal distance that we're traveling is 72 inches because that's the length of my level. So to determine the percentage, we're going to divide the rise by the distant horizontal distance, multiply it by 100. And that's simply 3.75 divided by 72 times 100 gives us a 7.47 grade. And the ADA states that our grade should not be more than 8.33%. So this is a nice grade for a ramp. How do we calculate recommended ramp length? So with a little math and a little creativity here, the door step we know is currently 6 inches high. We want the slope to have a ratio of 1 to 12. And what we need to do to determine the ramp length is multiply the rise of 6 inches times the ratio, and that's 6 times 12 is going to give us 72. So 72 inches is our required length for our ramp on that slope. So let's go over some ramp options. So a 72-inch long ramp, this QR code would take you over to Amazon and give you an idea of this is a foldable ramp. I do have one of these at home here as well. And these are great options. I call them temporary options. But that's not something that's going to work for me because I want something permanent. This is a commercial ramp that I put in for a friend of mine. I picked this up on Craigslist because they couldn't get this covered by insurance. We'll talk about that more in another video. This is a wooden ramp that's in one of my family members' homes. Again, not something I want. I don't want the maintenance of painting wood and things like that. So what did I do? I chose to go with a paver, ramp, and that's right here, as you can see, and this is before and this is after. So let's get into the discussion on that. So I said, this is my driveway. We talked about the ramp. We have a slope coming in and then a gradual slope going up to the door, but this is the final product. And to be honest with you, I wanted something that didn't even look like it was a ramp, and that's what this is. So let's talk about things that we should consider when building our ramps. For me, I'm very fortunate that I have a front porch that is covered, and my covered area is 55 inches wide by 50 inches deep. So it's a pretty big area. And I don't have to worry about the snow and the rain and the elements, even though I'm in the Northeast, unless I get wind blowing snow drifts and then the snow starts to melt. That would be my only concern about water coming into my home as it melts. The other issue that I had is, as you can see here, I have all this natural stone, and this was different contoured sections as well. And this slab was actually poured after the stonework was put in. And I don't want to break this up and then damage all this stonework. And, so I got to be careful what I'm going to do with that. The next thing is there's no handrail here at all going into my house, and I want a handrail so anybody can come in and out of the house safely. I also have this issue with drainage here. Let's go over some of the pictures of the job. Number one, we dug out, we broke up the sidewalk, and we put it in this area. And then next thing we did is we dug 6 inches down and took out all this dirt. The next thing we did is we needed to bring in a base material, which is stone and really compacting dirt in this area. And then the other thing we did is we put in a drainage line, 4-inch PVC pipe with a drain vent out in the yard that would allow my gutter to go just go out and be away from my sidewalk altogether. As I mentioned earlier, we did not want to take out this slab. So one of the things that we did is we're just going to start adding the dirt, this compacting gravel to this, and then compact it down, get our grade, our slope to the right area. So once we did that, and then we added the top layer, realizing we did use a vibrating compactor to put all this down. Everything's vibrated and it's settled in nicely. This is the vibrating compacting tool that we used. As you can see, we have a nice slope and everything, and we're ready now to start adding the pavers. What we did is we put in a brown paver border, and then we put in the nice tan colored pavers that match the house really well. As I mentioned here before, as you can see, none of these paver stones were cut to contour this, my wall stones. But what we did is we put an elastic polymer sand in there, which actually solidifies, and it's a nice rubbery surface. So this isn't going to move anywhere, and it looks really nice. The other thing we did is we put this vent in the yard. We brought our finished border into the sidewalk area. We then added topsoil, put some seed in there as well, so we can just make that all look nice. So let's talk about the slope and the grade of the new ramp. Here we have a picture of the level. Our rise is 4.5 inches over 72. We know to get the grade, it's the rise divided by the distance, the horizontal distance times 100. So here we have a 6.25% grade. ADA standards are 8.3 max, so we are below that. Now we have the side grade coming off of the ramp. This is a 4.25 over 63 inches. So we do the same calculations. That gives us a 6.7% grade, and the ADA standard is 8.3. And again, we just wanted to talk one more time about the driveway. So realizing my driveway right now has a 5.3% rise, and my grade is 7.47. So the grade of my driveway is still less than the ADA standards. But that's the biggest slope I have. So my driveway has got a bigger slope than my sidewalk going up to the ramp. So I'm very happy with what the results were in this project. The other thing is going up to the door. ADA has a threshold, a standard for thresholds, which is 404.2.5. And they basically state that your threshold can't be more than ½ inch high going into the house, and that's where we're at. So we're really happy with that. Here we're walking up to the front door of the original sidewalk, going to this concrete slab, 6-inch rise. You can see the drain spout, the trip hazard of the border, and you can see how those stones are really contoured into that sidewalk. This is the new paver walkway. Downspout is under the ground. Our threshold very low. You can see how it's contoured into the wall. Nice paver border, natural stone looking walkway to match my current condition. I just wanted to demonstrate a walker coming into the house, going over the threshold. This is a foldable shopping cart that we use to bring groceries in and out of the house. This is a foldable chair that I picked up from China about 8 years ago. This chair has gone all over the world with us on vacation. This is our newest addition. This is the travel scoot. And this is me just naturally walking in the door. Let's go over the total cost of this project. I was the one that designed the ramp, so there was really no design fees. I outsourced the demolition and the construction of the project. The ramp cost total was $2,000, not including a handrail, and we'll do another video on that. But even if I built it out of wood and had to remove all the slabs and then poured the footings and everything else, the price would have been really up there. And I wanted something that looked natural, matched the way my house looked, and make it have it not even look like a ramp. And that was what my goal was in the end. So thank you very much for watching. Please click the subscribe button if you want to see future videos. Any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section. If there's any type of videos that you'd like to see, please list them below, and I'll make those videos as well if we get enough people asking for the same material. But thank you very much for stopping by, and we'll catch you on the next video. Take care. Thank you.